So it's been a few days since I did the home visit, and I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty exciting. Like, I get to go out into the world. It felt like more of an adventure. It wasn't the typical drudgery of having to go to work. It was something different than what I've been doing for the past 3 months. Now, I have been working with this child and their family for a little over a month, and we were finally going to be meeting in real life. This is probably the closest that I'll ever be to online dating. This is what online dating feels like. So to be honest, my mind was initially consumed by having to adjust my typical patterns of behavior, the way that I communicate, and just sensory awareness to having the PPE on. There was that initial fear of judgment and thinking about what are the parents thinking about me, just that overall internal judgment of my appearance because I'm just not used to wearing it. But that faded about halfway through, and I kind of got over that after about 30 minutes. But I do want to shout out all of the doctors and nurses that wear PPE like that all of the time. It's incredibly restricting, it's uncomfortable, it's hot. So I just wanted to acknowledge everything that I know the frontline healthcare workers are having to go through right now, because I got a small taste of that myself, and it's not as fun as you would think. The other thing I had to do is to readjust how to do hands-on therapy. The past 3 months I've been relying on intensive coaching, explaining, demonstrating, educating parents on what to do, and modeling that the best of my ability through virtual means. So it did take a minute for me to readjust to handling a small child and an infant, and I do want to just say the initial moment of me picking up this child, the intense fear, and maybe not fear, but alarm maybe, or of this child seeing me in all of my gear. I mean, their eyes were just bugging out. They didn't cry though. You know, I let them adjust to me, and they only cried a little bit when we had to do some cervical stretches and range of motion. But I wish I could have captured that moment on the baby's face of like, what is going on? Who is this person that looks like they're from E.T.? So regarding specifically the PPE, I had the mask and the shield on before I walked into the home. I washed my hands at their kitchen sink, and then I put my gloves on. So I took my gloves off at the end, sanitized so that I could use my phone and touch some other things. And then I removed the shield after I was out of their home, but I removed it before I got to my car because I was at an apartment complex and I didn't want to freak anyone out. But again, I had already sanitized my hands. I sanitized them again when I got to my car, and then I took my mask off and kind of stored them properly. But that's kind of what the PPE looked like for myself in that situation. I also want to say that since that visit, 2 days after that, my employer actually had all the employees complete an online PPE training. They also emphasized that since their initial recommendation of us starting to do home visits again, oh my gosh, there's a beautiful bird out there, y'all. They also did a little bit of backpedaling and said, virtual telehealth is still the preferred method of implementing therapy at this time. And I myself am continuing to be selective in which clients I choose to do in-home visits with. Now, one thing that I have been thinking about since this return to home visits and this first visit that I did myself was the reliability of virtual evaluations. So like I said before, this was a child that I have been seeing virtually this entire time. The evaluation was conducted virtually, and then all therapy visits have been through telehealth. Now I say this because the moment I picked up this child and looked in their mouth, I did sort of like a mini assessment, just because again I've never seen this child in real life. the first thing I noticed was that they had a tongue tie. I mean, initially, and I'm not very good at I can't diagnose, but I'm not very good at noticing tongue ties. I've always had a more difficult time noticing those clinically, but I knew instantly that this child had a tongue tie, and this child has a history of feeding difficulties that we were actually trying to work on and address. And this was most likely the underlying cause of some of the issues that this child was having drinking their bottle. And I did not pick up on it in the initial evaluation or subsequent therapy visits and sessions. I never noticed it. So I'm having to rethink, one, how I'm gonna conduct my telehealth evaluations in the future to make sure that I am being thorough enough and not missing anything. And then two, thinking that it might be in the client's best interest to try and have the initial evaluation and assessment in person, and then after that transition to telehealth, if that is what is being required or if that's the best fit for that family. Because I think at that point, telehealth can then be provided more accurately and more safely because we were able to do that in-person evaluation. I know the circumstances don't always warrant that, and they haven't, and that's why we were kind of forced to do these evaluations via telehealth. But going forward, you know, if telehealth is going to be a primary form of service delivery, I think we need to have relevant and reliable assessments and information and evaluations completed, at least initially. These are the things I've been thinking about as we look forward. I'm not really sure what the future of OT is going to look like. I know that I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of whatever innovations come from this. I don't want OT to get left behind. And I also want to know what's going on in y'all settings. I'm kind of in my own little bubble here, so I really want to know what the recommendations have been for other home health companies, for other settings. You know, what is that looking like for y'all? I think everyone would be interested to know, so if you want to leave that in the comments, that would be great. I love reading y'all's comments. I really want to know how everyone else has been experienced, either telehealth or adjusting to new requirements or guidelines within your workplace, and how that's affected treating your clients. So I know this one was a little bit longer, so if you stuck around, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.